Hi everybody, welcome to this Hatha yoga flow with me, Yoga Don. Thank you so much for joining. Over the next 45 minutes we will be doing a Hatha yoga class which integrates breathwork and asanas, so postures. It's a really beautiful calming practice which restores the balance between the mind and body. So we'll begin with some breath work, and then throughout the 45 minutes I will keep bringing you back to the breath as we move through a series of poses. So if you're not already in something comfy, make sure you have some comfy clothes on and maybe grab some water before joining me down on the mat. So we'll start with some breathing exercises. Placing your hands on your knees, we're just going to close our eyes and bring our attention into the body. Just becoming aware of the quality of your breath. As we inhale, we feel cool air filling up the body. And as we exhale, we feel the warm air leaving the body. As we inhale, we come into the present moment. And as we exhale, we leave that moment behind us. Bringing our right hand onto our belly, we inhale into the belly space. And as we exhale, we feel the belly draw back towards the spine. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling into the belly. Exhale, the belly draws back towards the spine. Inhaling into the belly. Exhale, belly draws back to the spine. Bringing our left hand onto our heart. Moving into a 3-part yogic breath. As we inhale, the belly fills, and then the ribs, and then the heart. As we exhale, we feel the air leave the body from the heart, the ribs, and then the belly. So the aim of the 3-part yogic breath is we want to isolate the breath and feel it in the 3 distinct parts of the body. So inhaling into the belly, and then the ribs, and then the heart. Exhale from the heart, ribs, belly. We'll do that 1 more time. Inhaling into the belly, ribs, heart. Exhale from the heart, ribs, belly. Bringing our hands back towards our knees, keeping our eyes closed. We'll just notice if there are any changes in the sensations in the body. Just allowing our breath to come back to a normal rhythm. Gently opening our eyes, we move into our first series of poses. So our right hand comes to the right side of the mat, left arm sweeps up to the sky, and we just gently bend the arm over to the right side, feeling a beautiful stretch along the left side of the ribs. Maybe our right forearm can come fully onto the ground. Making sure the left arm is not too far forward or too far back, it's framed above the ear. So for each pose, we'll hold it for 5 breaths. So we'll have 2 more breaths for this side. Inhale, both arms sweep up to the sky, and as we exhale, the left hand comes to the left side of the mat. Right arm gently curves over to the left side. Maybe the left forearm comes fully down onto the mat. And again, we want the right arm to be framing the right ear. We'll hold this for 2 more breaths. Inhale, both arms sweep up to the sky. As we exhale, we twist to the right. So our right hand becomes the second spine behind the body. Left hand comes onto the right knee, and we twist the spine round. So as we inhale, we want to be finding length, and as we exhale, we want to be twisting round. We'll do this for 2 more breaths, remembering as we inhale, we find length, and as we exhale, we twist. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky, back through center, and we move to the left side as we exhale. So the left hand comes behind the back as a second spine, right hand on the left knee. Inhale, we find length before we exhale to twist the spine round. And we can use our left knee to help hinge us round. Doing 2 more breaths here, remembering to inhale to find length, exhale to twist. Inhale, we come back through center, arms sweep up to the sky, and as we exhale, we gently come forward, hands find the floor, and we can just edge our fingers forward. Maybe we stay here, maybe that's a really lovely stretch, or perhaps our forehead can come to find the floor, and we can just melt into the earth. Our fingers just start edging over to the left side. Maybe our right hand can come on top of our left hand, and maybe our forehead can find the floor again before we melt the body down into the ground. Edging the fingers back through center, we edge them to the right side now, with our left hand maybe coming on top of the right, forehead again down on the floor. Edging our fingers back through center. We inhale, arms sweep up to the sky, hands plant either side of the pelvis. We inhale, coming onto our knees, lifting the pelvis and lifting the heart. Really finding an expansiveness in the chest. Imagining we have an apple under our chin. Two more breaths here. On our next exhale, we lower the body all the way down to the ground. Very nice. Before rolling over, so we cross our legs, roll over and come into tabletop position. So making sure that our fingers are spread really nice and wide like duck's feet. They're just directly under the shoulders, so the bones are aligned. Our knees are directly under our hips, hip width apart. And we're going to move into a cat-cow. So as we inhale, the tailbone lifts, the crown of the head lifts. And as we exhale, the spine arches into cat. Inhale, we come into cow, lifting the tailbone and the crown of the head. Exhale, we come into cat, rounding the spine. We'll do 3 more of these. Inhaling into cow. Exhaling into cat. Inhaling into cow, lifting the tailbone, lifting the crown of the head. Exhaling into cat, really rounding the spine. Moving into our last cat-cow. Back to center. Our right leg comes off the floor and straightens out behind us. We flex the foot. We take a big inhale here. And as we exhale, the knee comes to touch the head. Inhale, leg juts straight up behind us. Maybe we bring the left arm out in front of us as well. And as we exhale, we crunch the leg and the arm in. Inhale, back out, extending out. Exhale, we come in with the body. Inhaling, we expand. Exhale, we contract. Doing our last one. Expanding the body before we contract in. Left hand comes to the mat. Right foot crosses over the left side of the body. Our gaze is looking directly at the right toes. We want to find a lovely stretch along the right leg. Making sure that our hips don't collapse. We want to keep them square to the mat. Really pressing through the hands into the earth to create that stable foundation. Inhale, leg comes back up. Right knee finds the mat. And we move to the left side. So left leg juts out behind the body, flexing the foot. We take a big inhale here. And as we exhale, the left knee comes towards the head. Inhale, jutting the leg back out. Maybe the right arm comes out as well, just off the mat. And as we exhale, we crunch the body in. Inhale, we expand, arm and leg comes out. Exhale, we crunch in, we contract the body. We'll do this 3 more times. Exhale, we crunch back in. Expanding out. And contracting in. Arm and leg come back out. Right hand finds the mat. And left leg crosses over to the right side of the body. So we want our gaze to find the left toes. Again, making sure the hips don't collapse, keeping them square to the mat. Fingers nice and wide. And just find your breath here. Find stability in your breath. Left leg comes up off the mat, left knee finds the mat. Getting ready to push up into downward dog. We're going to tuck the toes, making sure we've got a really nice stable base with our hands, and push up into downward dog. Just going to pedal out the feet here, making sure that the feet are hip width apart, the hands are still shoulder width apart. And just finding a bit of playfulness here in our first downward dog. Maybe we stretch out from side to side. We just want to find those tweaky little bits in our body that are crying out to be stretched. So if it feels good, if you find a way of stretching here that feels good, that probably means your body needs it. Finding some stillness now in your downward dog. We gaze to the front of the mat and we can walk or jump to the front. And once we get to the front, we just want to let the front of the body hang really heavy. So maybe you can gently move the body from side to side. Our hands find our elbows, coming into ragdoll, and just letting gravity do the work for us. Let your head hang really heavy. Maybe we can play with our balance, coming onto the balls of our feet and then onto the heels, before dropping the hands to the mat. And very gently we want to roll all the way up to standing, feeling the spine realign vertebra by vertebra, making sure that the head is the very last thing to roll up. And once we're up at the top, we bring our feet together, toes touching. We want to imagine two anchors dropping down into the ocean from our feet, really securing our legs to the floor. We inhale, both arms sweep up to the sky. As we exhale, our right arm comes down, pasting along the right side of the body, and we gently tip to the right side, finding a beautiful stretch of the spine. Again, we're holding this for 5 breaths. If you want to intensify this slightly, the right hand can come up to the left, joining the fingers. We can just gently pull the hand down. You want to imagine we're between 2 sheets of glass. So our arms aren't too far forward, they're not too far back, they're framing the ears. 2 more breaths here. Inhaling up through center. As we exhale, the left arm comes down to the left side of the body, and we gently curve the right arm over to the left side. Maybe our left fingers can just edge down our thigh. Again, making sure our arm isn't too far forward or too far back, it's framing our ear. Left hand comes up to join the right, and it can just gently pull the hand over to the left. We'll do 2 more breaths here. Inhale up through center, getting ready for our back bend. Making sure the feet are still glued together, toes touching. As we inhale, we take a big breath. And as we exhale, we gently tilt our body back, making sure all the while that our arms are framing our ears. engaging your glutes. 2 more breaths here. Inhale, we come back through center. And we're just gonna move our arms from side to side. Just stretching out the muscles. To a still position, arms down by our side. We move to the top of the mat. Arms come parallel to the floor. Coming onto our tippy toes. We very gently lower the body down. The higher we are on the tippy toes, the harder this will be. And once we get to the bottom, we're just going to hug our knees into our chest. Give ourselves a really lovely hug before we gently let ourselves rock back and down onto the mat. Straightening out the body and bringing our hands down by our side. This is a really lovely moment to just tap into our intention that we set at the beginning of the class. Legs come together, arms down by our sides. We want our palms to be facing down towards the mat. And as we inhale, the right leg sweeps up to the sky. And we're going to lower our leg 5 times. Lowering it all the way down before we sweep it back up to the sky. Doing 4 more. Doing 3 more. Doing 2 more. Doing our last one. Making our last one just slightly more intense. Before we get to the bottom, we're just going to hover the leg off the mat, about 5 inches off the mat, before we drop it down. Doing the same on the other side. We take a big inhale as we sweep the left leg up to the sky, before lowering the leg down 5 times. Two more. And our final one, we're just going to hover the foot off the mat, about 5 inches off the mat, before dropping it down. Gluing the legs together, pointing the toes, we take a big inhale in as we lift both legs up to the sky. And we lower them down 5 times, as we've just done before. Four more. Three more. Really making sure you're using your arms by pressing against the mat to support yourself. 2 more. Last one, we're just going to hover the legs off the mat before dropping them all the way down. So from here, our knees come into our chest. We're just going to give ourselves a lovely hug, squeezing the knees into the chest, maybe smiling as we do it. And we'll just gently rock from side to side, massaging the spine. Softening the throat as we do so. Releasing the knees, the hands come behind the knees and we gently rock ourselves back up. Massaging the spine all the way up to seating. Crossing the legs, we come over into tabletop position before we get ready to set up for our headstand. So, for those of you that have a headstand in your practice, please go straight into it. And for you, those of you that are kind of starting to learn, we will be setting this up. So we'll just be practicing stretching out some of the muscles in preparation for a headstand. So we bring our forearms to the mat, hands holding onto the elbows. Bringing our hands forward, we shape a basket with our fingers, interlacing them. So this is your really strong triangular shape that's going to form the base. We now want to place the back of our head in the basket. So if we imagine a lovely little bald patch on the back of our head, we're just going to place that in the basket. The crown of the head should be touching the floor. Before we tuck the toes and we gently push ourselves up. And we're just going to slowly walk in the feet. We can stay here, we can pedal them out, we can walk them further in. And we can just gently start playing around with the headstand. When you're ready to come down, the knees find the mat, and we're just going to push the body back into child's pose. So our forehead can come to the floor, and maybe we can just massage the forehead, rocking it from side to side. Hands come to the mat, we push ourselves up, crossing our legs, we come to sitting, and then we roll our body back all the way down to the mat before coming into a shoulder stand. So tucking the knees into the chest, we're just going to play around with our balance and just find the back of our body with our hands before we start edging ourselves up into a shoulder stand. So our elbows can just gently come together. Hands can move further up the back before our legs reach up to the sky. Making sure we're not putting too much pressure on the back of the head. Inversions are so fantastic for your body. It just gets all the blood pumping from the tip of the toes all the way down to the heart. It's amazingly good at detoxifying the body. And to get out, we're just going to tuck our knees into our chest. Our hands come down to the mat, and we're just going to gently lower our body down, vertebra by vertebra, as if we're placing a pearl bracelet onto a table, feeling each pearl drop down to the ground. Planting our feet on the mat, making sure that our knees are hip width apart. We just want to be able to touch the back of the heels with both fingers. And when we can, we just want to move the feet slightly out of reach. So we just, with our fingers, we just can't reach them. And this will be setting up for bridge pose. So we inhale, lifting the pelvis to the sky, hands clasped under the body, and our shoulders can just gently kiss into each other. Pressing up through the pelvis towards the sky, we're opening up the pelvis and the heart center, making sure the knees don't splay out. It's really easy for them to swing out, so just making sure they stay directly over the ankles. If you have a block, then it can be quite useful to put a block in between your thighs. Taking 2 long breaths here. Inhale, arms up to the sky, before we exhale and lower the body all the way down to the mat. Knees knock in, placing one hand on our stomach, one hand on our heart. Just letting the breath come back to its natural rhythm. Straightening out our legs, we move into fish pose. So we want to place our hands under our bum, under our body, with our thumbs touching like this. So we just want to sit on our hands before we gently lower ourselves down to our elbows. Opening up the chest, and the crown of our head comes down to touch the mat. Pointing our toes as we do so. We'll do 2 more breaths here. Now to get out, we're just going to bring our head up off the floor and release the arms from either side of the body. And lie ourselves down. Just staying here for 2 breaths. So from here we're gonna bend our knees, pulling them into our chest, just giving ourselves a lovely little hug, and gently roll from side to side. Releasing the knees, the hands find the back of the knees before we roll ourselves all the way up. Making sure we give our spine a lovely little massage as we do it. And once we're in a sitting position, we're going to straighten out our knees, gluing the legs together. Our hands come either side of our pelvis. We inhale, straightening the toes and opening up the chest. We'll hold this for 2 more breaths. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky before we exhale forward. Hands can find our ankles, or maybe our shins, or maybe even our feet. And our head just gently bows forward. We'll hold this for 2 more breaths. Inhale, arms sweep up to the sky, and they come back down, parallel to the floor. Legs come up parallel to the floor as well, coming into boat pose. So we can play around with this. We can either stay slightly higher up, which is a little bit easier, or we can lower ourselves down, which forces us to really engage our core. We'll hold this for 3 more breaths. Really making sure that you're breathing through this pose. You're not holding your breath. Lowering ourselves all the way down to the mat before we come into reclining pigeon. So our legs are going to form a diamond. And we're just going to make a second diamond with our arms above our head. And just really enjoy how opening this feels, how expansive this pose is for the body. Bringing our attention to the quality of the breath here. Softening the jaw. Elongating the breath. We'll do 2 more breaths here. Legs straighten out in front of us and arms come either side of us, forming a cross. We inhale, the knees bend and tuck into the chest. And as we exhale, we gently drop the legs to the right side. Our gaze can either be directly above us, or it can come and just flush over the left arm. We'll do 3 more breaths here. Inhale, knees come through center, and we exhale, dropping the knees to the left side. Our gaze comes over our right arm now. Three more breaths here. inhale, knees come back up to center. We hug the knees into the chest, rocking gently from side to side. Fingers just tucked behind the knees before we roll ourselves up to seating. Crossing our legs once we're up at the top. Our hands come on our knees and we close our eyes. Just allowing our attention to come back inside the body. We're going to do 3 audible inhales and exhales. So we inhale through the nose and we exhale through the mouth. Do 2 more. Audible inhales through the nose. Audible exhales through the mouth. Audible inhales through the nose. Audible exhales through the mouth. And just let the breath go back to a natural rhythm. Bring our hands to heart center. The light and love in me honors and bows to the light and love in you. And when we meet in that place, we are one. Namaste.